Okay, this is Chair Lampy. Welcome to the October 8th, 30 meeting of the board. Try to get through this as quickly as we can as usual, but we do have a lot of items on the agenda this morning. Holly, if you would, I'll call the meeting to order. If you would take a roll call, please.
Okay. Andy Buffington. Wendy Hess. Here. Bridget Edson. Mindy Benson. Mindy, are you on?
You always keep this as Grady stuff on hand.
Yes, I am here.
Okay. Michelle Bischoff.
Nobody's
Present.
Curtis Wilton.
If somebody would mute their line, please, that'd be great.
Curtis, are you here? David Neff.
Here.
Daniel Schaefer. Dan Fank.
Here.
Jason Slutenhofer. Angela Clouser. Haley Nichols.
I'm here.
Cindy Hike.
I'm here.
Peter Huffman. Trace Kendig.
Here. Here.
Tom Lampy.
Here.
Patrick Updike.
Here.
Blake DeRushi.
Here.
Annette Dunn. And
Hey, Holly. Kurt may have to unmute his line, but I see him on the attendance list, and also I see Peter Huffman has just signed in.
I
okay,
also see Jason Slutenhofer. Are you on?
This is Peter.
so we
I signed on, I think, right after my name was called.
okay. We got Peter. So yes, we do have a quorum.
Okay. Looking for the welcome everybody. We have some new board members and we'll introduce those after we get the agenda approved and the meeting minutes approved for those who are here. So today I'd like to have the approval of today's agenda. If I could get a motion for that, please.
So moved.
Michelle?
Bischoff?
Okay.
Yeah, it was Bischoff. Yes.
A second?
Second, Huffman.
Huffman is the second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Hearing none opposed, motion passes. Motion to approve the minutes from September 10th.
So moved, Ness.
Ness, second.
Second, Huffman.
Huffman's a second. All in, or further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Right on to the SWIC report. If you could just give me a few minutes, Chris, I'm going to ask that, is Bridget, I'm going to start right from the top of the agenda on the left side with the new board members. Bridget Edson, are you on? Bridget Edson, do you happen to be on? Well, she's either on or it's a bad connection. Mindy Benson, are
He's
you on?
going to be on, Tom.
Mindy Benson?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, welcome to the board. If you could give us a little history of yourself, please.
Sure. I am currently the Tama County Emergency Management Coordinator. My job recently split with Tama County. It was the 911 director also. We made my job a little bit easier so I didn't have to split focus. Was just up until a couple months ago also the 911 coordinator. Been in public safety for just starting my 20th year, was a 911 dispatcher for Cedar Rapids Police and Fire Department. Started in 2001 until 2009. then went to the Iowa State Patrol as a dispatcher there from 2010, left Cedar Rapids. And then from 2010 until 2013 was a 911 dispatcher for Iowa State Patrol for post 11 and 12. And then in 2013 has come out here to Tama County. So I have a wide variety in public safety as a reserve officer and in 911 and now emergency management.
Great to hear. We can always use the experience and background. I appreciate you applying and welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Bridget, did you happen to join? Okay, we'll move on. Dan Schaefer, representing municipal police. Do you happen to be on? Sheriff Dan Fank, are you on today?
Yes, I am. Sheriff of Worth County, been with Worth County 21 years, worked up through the ranks, lieutenant, chief deputy, and now sheriff. 6 years reserve experience in Winnebago County. So that's me.
Great. Welcome aboard. Thanks for applying, and we look forward to working with you. Okay, let's go on to the SWIC report.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this month's report, I'll try to keep it abbreviated because we do have a lot going on today. But for the board, I've been working over the past month on continued coordination on derecho response with respect to the STR trailer deployments in Atkins and in Clinton. Anytime you have a longer duration deployment of those things, there's certain things you got to keep tabs on, and we've been working to kind of ensure that things roll as seamlessly as possible with those trailers as they possibly can. Aside from all that, I've been working with the various committees to keep them apprised on feedback on comments we've gotten from the two policies that are currently out for public comment. Those are the air-to-ground channels and also the LTE deployable document. Also, if committees have had questions for one another, I've helped facilitate the relay of those questions back and forth. And over time, we may see that work its way into some documents, such as standards and things of the sort. So I've been doing a lot of committee coordination the past month as well. Also had an abundance of phone calls and virtual meetings with stakeholders this past month that are looking at accessing Isicsb in several different ways and fashions and varieties. And I will say that some of them that I've talked to will definitely benefit from some of the work that we've put into recently with respect to interstate interoperability. So it's good to see some of those things paying off. From a training perspective, assisted a training committee and assisted with the deployment and delivery of our 2 TAs that we had in the month of September. Those were the standard operating procedures and communications plan review and development course, and then also the encryption planning and usage for technical staff. There was a lot of coordination that had to take place with the instructors that are contracted through CISA and ICTAB, and worked pretty closely with Blake DeRucci on getting a lot of that stuff done. We also have worked to develop and deploy that newly updated Isicsb join form that should be linked on our website now. It has some feature updates and kind of consolidates a few things for us, and we've had some agencies already use it so far, which is good to see. Work will now continue on aggregating a lot of the previous data we had from applications and the new applications that are coming in so that we can develop a map that accurately reflects the number of individuals that are using Isicsb and also their application status. We had a map on our website previously, but it kind of grew out of date relatively quickly. And with this new updated form, we should be able to aggregate that data much more efficiently. Also assisted with some training recently of Greene County and Bremer County on the use of Isicsb. Those were in-person sessions, and they seemed to go very well. It also covered the use of status board for them. And also assisting the training committee with developing training modules for the various standards. We'll detail that a little bit more later on. But so far that work is starting to move along nicely now that we've got a process in place. Had a chance to sit down recently with the Unity Point Medical Dispatch as well and observe how they handle some additional items that may go a little bit beyond what you typically see in a PSAP, since they have to deal specifically with patient transports and ambulatory dispatches and air ambulatory vehicles. It was interesting to see how they handle that and how they use some of the same equipment that you see in PSAPs, but slightly differently. I do want to thank Hannah Short for allowing me to observe that. And finally, as far as status board updates for the month goes, no outages to report at this time. We're still offering training available for agencies that have not yet had it. Typically, that training takes about 30 to 60 minutes, depending on questions. And we're also looking at incorporating status board training in any next round of regional training sessions that we do put on. I will encourage anybody that's on the line today with us that if you haven't signed up for status board yet and you happen to work in a PSAP or an emergency manager or someone in the administrative levels of your agency where you have to have an understanding of comms plans that are being used at this point, please sign up. We'll get you set up. The setup typically takes less than a half hour. So that'll conclude my SWIC report for today, Mr. Chair. I'll go ahead and take any questions.
Any questions for the SWIC? All right, Chris, thank you. 911 council report, Blake.
All right, thank you. Two things to note today, and just a reminder, if you are interested in the full 911 council meeting, it is right before the Isicsb meeting, and we record those and put them on YouTube, and there's a link on our website. So if you're interested in more of the details of 911, by all means, check that council meeting out. Two things. The first, last month I talked about pausing the wireline migration project that is taking the legacy landline 911 calls and putting them onto the next generation 911 network. There was a number of wireline telco providers that had not provisioned their location database, their customers' addresses basically, into the database that has the address come in with the call. So we wanted to push the pause button on those migrations. Had a number of meetings, conference calls, trainings, and since then have 100,000 plus records have been added to the point where we're much more comfortable proceeding. The numbers are lining up with what was in the legacy database compared to the new database. So we're able to continue those migrations. At this point, we have 24 PSAPs out of 113 that have made that migration. So they are receiving both wireline and wireless calls in an IP fashion. Secondly, we've been working in our office on a strategic plan. That will be a final draft will be posted to our website within the next week or two. We will have a public comment period through December 1st, and then a month or so to take and finalize any of the comments that we receive and put out a final plan that'll kind of guide our office's efforts for the next 5 years. So hoping to get that out and finalized in January 2021, and really that's when the work starts. If you remember a couple of years ago, we did, I should say last year, we did a 911 assessment from the National 911 Office. And that gave us kind of some things to work towards. This plan memorializes those and gives us kind of just that work plan. We'll be forming work groups and really making an effort to try to improve the program. So a lot of work yet to be done within the next 5 years. Any questions for me? All right, thanks.
All right, thanks, Blake. Let's move on to user group committee. Is Chair Buffington on this morning?
Mr. Chair, Andy is unable to make it today due to job duties, but I believe I saw the Vice Chair, Mr. Dennert, on today. If Rob's available, he could give the report, or if Rob is unavailable, I could.
Okay, Rob, are you on today?
Yes, I'm looking for my notes from the meeting. Give me just a second. So the last meeting was September 17th. There were 3 applicants that I believe are being considered later in the meeting: Howard County, Mower County, Minnesota, and LECOM. And other than some discussion by Sheriff Fink about his migration to FirstNet, pretty uneventful meeting.
Okay. Finance Committee, I think Swick Myers is going to report the finances, and they are posted on the board documents for your review. If Chris, you want to give the numbers, you can go ahead. This is also one of the holes that we have remaining in for Finance Committee involvement. I did send letters out of welcome letters to the new board members. And this goes for all board members. We need to have some people step up here and populate these committees. If I could get some interest in that, that would be wonderful, especially with the Finance Committee. It's not a whole lot of work, if hardly any. It's just we need to have a representative on that committee. So go ahead, Swick Myers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the financial report for this month, in summary, the monthly expenditures during September for the Interoperable and Broadband Communications Fund were $4,992. The ending July balance was $244,131. Monthly expenditures during September for Isicsb 2.0 were $12,044. Of that amount, $9,635 were federal expenditures. The remaining federal amount available from the grant is $277,850. Does the board have any questions regarding the activities or financial positions of the Interoperable and Broadband Communications Fund or Isicsb 2.0? Okay, thank you.
Great, thanks for your report. We'll work on that membership. Governance Committee Chair Huffman.
There wasn't any planned new business, but unfortunately I was unable to make the meeting this month, but Swick Myers was kind enough to cover for me. Chris, was there anything of urgency discussed during that meeting?
No, Mr. Chair Hoffman, the bulk of the meeting minutes were focused around an update of the two policies that are out for public comment and any updates or comments that may have been submitted for them. There was not really anything new to report on those two policies. We discussed possible things that may be coming down the pipe, and then we adjourned.
Thank you.
All right. We'll move on to operations, Chair Bischoff.
Yes, the Operations Committee met this week, and the topics of discussion were the best ways in which to memorialize the talk group names. That's been an ongoing conversation. We've been working with technology on updates to the 217A and had some discussion about the SEED code plug and ensuring that it has the correct talk group names. So just really working through all of the pieces and components of how users get information from Isicsb and making sure that we have a means in which to keep everything aligned and seeking gaps where there may not be policy or standard, but we have kind of a general understanding of how we want things to work and looking at places where we need to update the policies and procedures. So just kind of doing an overall review of where and how things are pushed out to users and ensuring that that's the best it possibly can be. We also discussed the standards working group and the patch standard and the need to have a group meeting, a group discussion on that to ensure that it too is the best it possibly can be. That is my report. What questions are there for operations? Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to outreach. Swick Myers, are you handling that today?
Yeah, I can cover that. Holly, I'll ask you for an assist on the numbers, but we just had our regional training for Isicsb control station use and FirstNet outreach in Boone on September 29th. I was unable to make that meeting due to illness, but I believe it was fairly well attended. Presentations were given by the FirstNet group, including David Barnett, and Luke Erpelding and Chad Roberts and Robbie Johansson were there to train the Isicsb users on the use of control stations and how to use the talk groups. Holly, do you have a record of how many attendees we had at that session?
There was 18.
Great, thank you. The outreach committee will be looking at other avenues to reach out to stakeholders as well. Holly just sent the newsletter out this morning. Fantastic work as always. That is the monthly report. I'll take questions.
All right, thank you. Moving on to training, did Vice Chair Broadus make the meeting today? I know she had a commitment.
I don't see her on the list today, but I do have the report from training that she was going to give.
Okay, go ahead.
Yep. So you heard me talk about the standing operating procedures and communications plan review and development course that we had on the mornings of September 15th and 16th. On that session, we had 17 total attendees, which for a virtual session for topic material like SOPs and comms plan review, fairly solid. They were relatively longer meetings, but overall the content was good, but we're going to be looking at possibly ways to improve that delivery in the future. We feel like there's some people in Iowa that are very well equipped to train on things like that, and now that we kind of know what the federal material is, there may be a good way for us to kind of adopt that as a state-sponsored course long term. We also had our encryption planning and usage for technical staff on September 30th. For that, we had 25 attendees. That one dove into some of the technical complexities associated with encryption. It talked about the need for coordination among stakeholders to make sure that you don't end up with any conflicts or problems with respect to encryption, especially if you're looking at sharing long term. And it talked about ways we can help mitigate some of those things long term. So very good course with the encryption TA. We had some very, very savvy technical folks teaching it, and it sounds like the attendees got a lot out of it. We're actively working on the pursuit training video. We have an audio track laid down. Amber Jennings from Montgomery County was kind enough to record that for us, and we're working on splicing that together with some presentation slides. So it's one of those things where dispatchers can sit down and watch it and just kind of take it in as it comes. We're also working on some visor cards for dispatchers that'll kind of be like a cheat sheet and a reference guide for them that'll cover some standards that we've had so far to make that another way to deliver that information. And they're looking at modules after the pursuit module is completed to start next. Some of this may include some case studies for things such as specific use cases of the regionals, things that work well for the regionals, things that work well for statewides, and then appending those to possibly an existing module like the one for 1.5.0. That's the report from the training committee. I'll go ahead and take any questions.
It sure is nice to see that there's a full complement of work on the training committee. She's really taken hold and keeping that moving. If there's one thing that helps this system succeed is training and the operations of it. So it's good to see that there's moving forward with all that'll really pay off for you. There's no more questions. We'll move on to Chair Updike on this technology committee.
Good morning. The technology committee met on September 24th and October 6th. We're still hashing out the details of trying to make a decision on whether to put the talk groups associated with the Isicsb system on the 217A. We keep going back and forth. One meeting we say yes, the next meeting we say no. So we started looking at the potential for developing an Iowa field operations guide, and it became somewhat of a crossover event with the operations committee, and Michelle covered some of those items that came up in technology because she was a part of those calls too. So we keep working on this. I see various things happening, but I think the big goal right now is to get a field operations guide developed and moving forward. And we'll just keep reporting on that as we progress one way or the other. And I did make some updates to our VCall 10 recommendation. I'll bring that back later on because there was some wording that the operations people wanted to see changed or what have you. So I'll probably bring that to the board next month as it pertains to the VCall 10 topic. And that's it.
All right, is there any questions for Chair Updike? All right, let's move on to the FirstNet Broadband Committee. Back to you, Chair Bischoff.
The FirstNet committee has not met this month. We meet next week.
Okay. Leah Committee, Chair Stufflebeam, are you on the call today?
I am. The first thing that I would like to report is the migration is on schedule for the full migration of the Leah channels for November 1st of 2020. The broadcasts have continued to go on through October, or will continue to go through October, just as previously prescribed, with the weekly broadcasts going the first 3 weeks of the month. Then the last week of the month, the broadcast will be aired daily. The month of September, we had one non-Leah migration broadcast for the full month. That was it. I'm really happy to hear that. The PSAP readiness, that has gone really well. It's reported that all staff have had their control stations delivered and installed, and there's been training and test calls to all the participating PSAPs. There is one additional thing that I'd like to let the board know, that it was requested in the October's meeting that we have a go, no-go roll call at this month's meeting. I believe the committee member that requested that vote is simply wanting to make sure that everything is done properly and done completely. I do not foresee anything that could stop this or make it go into a no-go at this moment, with all the PSAP readiness processes that I just spoke of completed. That's my report for this month. Is there any questions? Thank you.
It's coming quick here. It's hard to believe that it's been almost a year now since we made that decision on Leah. Thanks for all the hard work on that committee.
Thank you. It's my committee that's done a lot of it. Couldn't do it without him.
Okay, we'll move on to other reports, and the first item up is information sharing from our board members. I'm going to open up to our board members. If you'd like to make some comments, and you got the floor. Well, I always have comments, as you know. So I'm going to share. If you don't know, this is my last board meeting, and it's hard to believe it's been a month since I announced that this will be my last board meeting. But what a journey that we've been on here. My involvement since 2011. We went from no system and working with what we had to a concept of a new system to where we're at with a system. We've got committees now, we've got working groups, we've established the policy protocol, and all that was based on best practices and all the work and hard work the working groups and committees did to get our policies and protocols in place before the system was turned on and before we started using it. And after we got all the control stations in was a big hurdle. That was a major development for us to get access, so everybody had access. We have a full-time SWIC, which many states do not have the luxury of having. And as you can see with all the work that he does and filling in for committee members that can't make it, he's on every committee call. That piece is crucial to keeping things moving, to have a full-time SWIC. And I compliment Chris for all the tireless work you do, and the fact that you answer your phone each and every time 24/7 is a big compliment to you to keep things keep moving. We've increased our board membership since I've been on. Today we have 4 new ones, but we've increased the size of the board, which is good. We've got a training program now. We've been training all over the state with great results and making contact with the PSAPs on the control stations. We went from 0 funding to some funding, and as you all know, there's not a lot there. In fact, we got cut years ago. We need to really seriously consider getting an increase in that, at least getting what we lost with a budget cut on there. I'm sure Chair Ness, Vice Chair Ness now, but Chair Ness will come up with a plan, and maybe we can, when the session starts, maybe get just a little bump in that now that the system's going to be fully accepted here in the next few months or so. I'm going to leave you in good hands with Dave. We're going to meet tomorrow, and then I'm going to meet with some of the chairs to get some more information passed on to them. The good news is I'll be leaving the field, but the good news is I'm going to be given permission by the commissioner now to retain me for a little while here the next few months, whatever it takes to get the system administrator piece continuing to move until they find a replacement for in that role. But I will still be the system administrator here in a non-sworn way, but we'll continue to move forward. So there's no worries on that. We'll continue to work as we've been doing. So you won't see any hiccups or burps in that piece of it. We've established the talk groups, the statewides, the regionals, the tacticals. We've used all those. The regions are established. I mean, I can go on and on. I know I've missed something, but it's just a real pleasure to see the development that we've done since I've been on and since 2011. Is a great tribute to all the hard work, the prior and current board members. I want to thank each and every one of you for allowing me to be your leader and your chair for this long. But some things must come to an end, and that piece anyway is going to end for me. When you get to this, it's hard to believe 32 years has gone by with my career. But fortunately, I get to hang around a little bit. We'll see what develops from there. So I'll leave it with that. Otherwise, I'll probably get a scratchy throat here. So if there's anything else, any board members have any more information they'd like to share on any other topics here, I'm done talking.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you very much for all your work on the board, and it's been a pleasure to serve under you as the chair of the board.
Appreciate that, Peter.
Thanks, Tom. This is Dave with a couple comments.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, really. I think we expressed to some degree last meeting, but it doesn't hurt to reiterate the great progress the board has made under the leadership of you and the SWIC and prior board members and SWICs and so forth. So exciting time. And one of the things you mentioned was the talk groups, and the board's adaptability and flexibility is to be noted. When Region 1 came with the prospect or the idea of something like a metro or a sub-regional, Isicsb was flexible and amenable to say, yes, let's give it a shot, develop a pilot, and we'll run with it and see what happens. And so that's noteworthy as well. And as you mentioned, I think there's a discussion tomorrow with committee chairs. It's a monthly meeting, but the focus tomorrow will be largely on how we transition from our nearly decade-long leadership under you and your predecessor to setting us up for future success. And I'm thrilled with your willingness and the commissioner's willingness to allow you to continue to serve in that critical system admin role. It's just not a position that we could, in my view, afford to see in constant transition, as sometimes occurs in governments where it's one person for 6 months and then someone different. It's going to be a steep learning curve for somebody, and the commissioner is committed to ensuring the right person's selected for the job, and your willingness to stay until that happens is commendable. So enough comments for me. Thank you again for your service.
You bet. I'm glad to do it. It means a lot. Thanks for all the comments. Okay, We'll move on to the Motorola project manager. I believe I see Melvin pop up there. Your mic is lit. Are you there, Melvin? He's either muted or he's having audio problems.
All right, can you guys hear me now?
Barely. Now I can hear you.
All right, perfect. For whatever reason, it wasn't working on the computer, so I had to switch to my phone. All right, a lot of interesting things happening this year, especially with the retirement of Tom Lampe. It's been a pleasure working with you, Tom, and the overall team. I wish you the best on this transition. That's kind of a big deal. I have a long way to go before I reach that point, so I'm a little jealous, but I'm excited for you as well.
It'll come quick.
In terms, I'm sorry?
It'll go quicker than you think.
All right, so I want to do a quick summary of where we stand on the system. We've talked before, so we've been pretty active. As of a while ago, obviously we completed the system testing, the functional testing. We completed the coverage testing. We produced a report that's under evaluation by the state. We walked all the sites with the state, and they came up with punch list items, so we addressed all the punch list items. And that includes Hardin, which was the most difficult site. Took forever, but we're done with Hardin. And the Rock Rapids site, which is the IPTV tower on the far northwest corner of the state. So those were the two major items that were remaining. Obviously, we addressed all the punch list items. And now we've issued a system acceptance certificate to the state, which the state is evaluating right now. And then we have prepackaged all the keys for all the sites throughout the state, so we have those ready to provide to the state as well. So overall, functionally, for all practical purposes, we've completed the project. And my involvement in the project will be ending at the end of this week. I'll be moving on to another statewide project implementation as well. And I'll remain available for minor things, documentations and whatnot. But overall, for our practical purposes, we've done everything we needed to do for the statewide implementation. So it's been a long journey. We started this in the third quarter of 2015, and we finally reached that point where, the state and Motorola, we've walked together and we've accomplished something that was pretty big. We were shooting for doing this sooner. There's always complications, and Tom can attest to all the difficulties that we had to go through with respect to building a system of this size, land, footings, approvals, all sorts of things. But we worked together and we've accomplished something that is unheard of, implementing a statewide system deployment in 5 years. So the big thing is, in reality, keep in mind that the system's been operational for quite a while, actually. And so we're at the point where, the 5 years is more of the punch list and the things that really had not much effect on the operation of the system, but things that we needed to take care of. So overall, it was a big challenge, but we were up to it and we worked together and we were able to accomplish a lot. So in a way, with Tom retiring, it feels like we're almost in sync. I'm not retiring, but I'm moving forward to my next challenge with Motorola. So with that said, I do express my thanks to everyone involved with your patience. It's not been an easy process, but I think together we got to this point, and that's a significant thing to be proud of. So thank you for everyone. like I said, my number isn't changing, so I'll still be reachable, but my focus is completely on the change.
And Melvin, I still have your number, just to let you know. Don't go too far. Thank you, Melvin.
Sure.
Okay, is there a FirstNet or AT&T rep? Is Kyle Richardson? I know maybe the AT&T rep was not going to be on the call today, but is Kyle Richardson or anyone from FirstNet on the call today? Okay, we'll move on to, is Jim Lundstedt on joining us today?
Mr. Chair, I believe Jim Lundstedt is out until next week at the earliest.
Okay, then we'll move right on to the Standards Working Group, and you can have the floor back.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Standards Working Group was not able to conduct any business last month. We didn't have enough people on the phone to discuss some of the matters at hand. We didn't have enough people to look at the standards in such a way that the representation between state and local stakeholders would have been equally balanced. So in a way that may be a benefit to us because it gives us a chance to pump the brakes a little bit and sit down and talk with operations and technology about standards updates that may need to come down the pipe. And from there, we can kind of circle the wagons and prioritize the ones that may need to be done a little bit sooner than others. So I'll be communicating with the Chair Bischoff and Chair Updike on what may need to be looked at for standards, and then we're going to prioritize that list and roll from there, hoping to get things fired back up starting in November and December. With that, of course, the holidays will be an issue, but we'll do our best to work around those as well.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to old business, we'll start off with the sub-regional talk groups update. Chair Bischoff.
Yes. On the sub-regional talk groups, we have received some feedback through the course of Des Moines working through their training that perhaps the name of the zone, currently that is Metro 77, may not be the best name for the zone. The end user feedback that we've gotten through training is such that they would like some indication in the name of the zone that, I guess, so our dispatch will give the talk group name. So that would be SR1, TAC 1, whatever, 112, for example, that they would like to have the talk group name be represented in the zone name, much like Region 1 is the zone name. And when you go to R1 TAC 12, there's R1, oh, Region 1, Region 1. Okay, there's a connection there. With the Metro 77, there's no connection between the name and the talk group name of the zone and the talk group name. So gotten that feedback. Haven't really made any decisions or even talked with the larger group here in the Metro as to what possibly we could do to remedy that. It'll also be a matter of when our programming windows, if there is a change decided upon. But we have received that feedback, so I wanted to share that with the group. But other than that, I don't have any other feedback to share. Are there any questions regarding the sub-regional talk group pilot?
It'll be simple though, right, Michelle?
Of course. Super simple.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to a control station update. Swick Myers, is there anything more that update? We know all the PSAPs have it.
Correct. Thank you, Mr. Chair. All the PSAPs have their control stations and consolettes. We are going to work on getting the single consulate out to the Iowa School of Deaf over the next month or so. And then also some book work to do with that. I submitted our quarterly report to HSEMD yesterday. Over the next month or so, I'll be working on the final inventory for that. The inventory will take a little bit of time because in order to have an inventory that's acceptable for the grant purposes, we have to ensure that we have percentages listed for what we spent on things relative to state dollars, grant dollars, and whatnot. So that work will be ongoing over the next month. As far as training goes, we're still offering one-on-one training. And again, I'll say this: if you or your PSAP feels like you want some one-on-one training, please let us know. We can deliver that virtually or in person. And even if you've had it previously and you have new staff, we're more than willing to come out and assist with getting that person up to speed on the ISICS interoperable talk groups. So otherwise, that's the report for the control stations.
Okay, moving on to shared systems study group. Go ahead with that, Chris.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So over the last month or so, work on the final report has been done, and the group recently voted virtually to approve the report for the Isicsb, which you should have a copy of. It was unanimously approved, which is good. And Jason Studi, I believe, is on the call with us today. Jason is from the Potawatomi County Sheriff's Office. He'll be able to give us a brief summary of what that group found. Jason, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Good morning, everybody. The Shared System Study Group has routinely met since March of 2020. During that time, we looked into the possibility of the use of an Inter-RF Subsystem Interface, or ISSI, for Iowa. We looked at the previous staff study conducted by the previous SWIC, Craig Allen, spoke with another state with radio systems similar to those in Iowa, and met with engineers from L3, Harris, and Motorola. The Shared System Studies Group recommended that the Isicsb board not use an ISS to interface disparate radio systems at this time for the following reasons. There are large startup and ongoing maintenance and support costs, many complexities of installation and integration, a lack of features that work between Motorola and Harris systems, a lack of benefits to conventional VHF, UHF users in Iowa, and most radios can be programmed to access multiple radio systems without a complex ISSI system. The Shared Systems Study Group acknowledged that voice interoperability is the main concern today, but there are effective and less expensive ways to establish this outcome. The Shared Study System Group recommends that the ISICS board and the SWIC maintain awareness of the ISSI's development, find and develop new funding programs to help more agencies connect radios to the ISICS system for interoperability. This funding program should be new and not take away from money from other programs. The ISICS board develop a playbook to enable agencies to get more radios connected to the ISICS system. The ISICS board should continue to develop training programs for local agencies, and the ISICS board should continue to work to facilitate interstate interoperability. And that is it. Thank you.
Okay, is there any questions on that? That was a large task for that group to revisit. There's a lot of key points in that report that he read. And I think there's a lot more there that's been posted than what you read to us. Is there anything else that Chris or anybody else has any insight, or if Wally's on? I know you guys were part of that group, or anybody else from that group that is on the board call today that would like any input on that?
Mr. Chair, I'll just briefly take the time to thank the membership of the Shared System Study Group. To undertake a project like this during the year that has been 2020 was quite an undertaking for the members, and required some significant time on their part. And I do want to thank them for all their efforts. Everybody came in and looked at it objectively and went in and with an open mind and looked at the facts as they were, and came to those conclusions. I do want to say that also need to thank some of the subject matter experts we had on from Motorola and L3 Harris. I know they're not online with us today, but their time and efforts are certainly appreciated as well. And of course, the representative that we had from Connecticut also, who helped us out with some of that information as well. The report itself is around 41 pages long if you just look at the PDF length, but that does go through the previous report step by step and address everything that was done previously, and it looks at the current situation today. So that report is not only a look at how the current technological situation sits, but it's basically an audit of past work as well.
I don't know why he couldn't read that.
I want to thank everybody for their time today, with assisting with that group, and also Jason for helping out with presenting today. And I'll just leave it at that. So thank you. If you have any questions, let me know.
I think the report itself is noteworthy for the board to recognize the work and possibly adopt this report into the meeting here as you presented it and as been posted. With that being said, I'd like to make a motion or take a motion to accept the report as read and the conclusions that were from the study group. They did have a unanimous, I think I heard unanimous decision on this.
Correct.
So I would like to have the board recognize that and adopt it if somebody would like to make a motion.
Chair Lamp. This is Michelle Bischoff. I'd be happy to make that motion to receive and file the report of the Shared Systems Study Group and the findings within.
And I'll second that.
I have a motion from Michelle and a second from Patrick. Is there any further discussion on this? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to take a roll call on this. Holly, if you could do that for me, please.
Okay. Wendy Hess.
Aye.
Mindy Benson.
Aye.
Michelle Bischoff.
Aye.
Curtis Woten. David Ness.
Aye.
Dan Fank.
Aye.
I think Angela's on now. Angela Clauser.
Aye.
Haley Nichols. And Cindy Hike.
Aye.
Peter Huffman.
Aye.
Trace Kendig. Tom Lampy.
Aye.
Patrick Updike.
Aye.
Blake DeRushi.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, motion passes. I appreciate everybody's work on that. If, as they said, we'll continue to look at it, but appreciate it. Moving on to the air to ground policy update. Is Patrick, are you still in charge of that?
No, that came out of operations.
Okay. Does it need to be under old business anymore, or is this something that we're going to continue to work on? Or Michelle, can you advise?
I believe that the comment period is still open. I would defer to Swick Myers on when the comment period open or closes, but I believe the comment period is still open.
That's correct, Chair Bischoff. The comment period, I believe, closes on the 13th of October. We do not have any new comments that have been submitted over the past month. So assuming everything continues to go like it looks like it's progressing, this will probably be on the agenda for another month or so, and then hopefully we'll be able to go through the process of adopting it, taking into account the user feedback.
So let's review that just a little bit here. Air to ground policy for the new board members and maybe some of the board members who don't understand what we're talking about. So our goal with this, is this to establish some type of protocol for air, like state patrol aircraft, helicopters for emergency medicals, on what talk group they're supposed to use, either like a regional or a special talker, because I know there's been discussions with pilots from the State Patrol and Mercy on how to use the system when it comes to roaming. You don't build a system for airplanes. You build it for ground units, so everything's different. And the one aspect is your radios hop all over the place onto different sites. That's one thing I think we need to focus on as well. But the other is, what are they supposed to use? Do they continue to use mutual aid? Do they use the regional? Is there a special one that we're developing out of this policy? Can you give us a little insight on that? Anybody? Chris?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. So with these air-to-ground channels, these were outlined by the FCC a couple of years ago for states to use for communicating with aircraft, whether it's an air-to-ground conversation between an air ambulatory vehicle and, say, sheriff's deputies or ground-based EMTs on scene. But in order to have these channels available for the end users to take advantage of, the interoperability boards in the state have to officially adopt them, and then they have to develop some sort of procedure for using them. So this policy statement basically says that, yes, we will adopt these channels for use for stakeholders to take advantage of. Think of it as another tool in the toolbox. This would give them the opportunity to use both the Isicsb platform, the regionals, to communicate with the ground-based personnel and the air ambulatory vehicle, and also depending on where that air ambulatory vehicle is dispatched from, possibly even the hospital. So you would have that wide area coverage potentially to use with the Isicsb platform. But then if there were an issue where you needed, say, more localized communications, radio to radio direct, in the situation where that helicopter may be going to an area where the system doesn't necessarily cover as well at ground level. Think in the middle of a timber, way out in the middle of nowhere, just west of East Overshoot. That's kind of what these air-to-ground channels are designed to do. And part of the feedback that we did get from a stakeholder, local sheriff's office, was, these channels will be great because they will get us away from using something like VLAW 31 for this, but we do need some guidance as far as preferential order of use. Say when one would be preferable to use a regional versus a simplex channel like these air-to-ground channels are. So the other comments we've gotten with respect to the policy document have been supportive. It's another tool in the toolbox, and everybody likes to have that. So we have had a chance to discuss this with some air ambulatory services as well. At some point, I believe, we'll take the comments once the comment period is done and look at any modifications that may need to be done, and then go from there and perhaps try to re-present the air-to-ground policy to the board in conjunction with procedure so that everything is laid out right in front of all the stakeholders so that it's simple, it makes sense, and it's all consolidated together. In some conversations with some other stakeholders, that would also be their preference, to not have to pick and search and choose which document do you read and which document do you adopt. So maybe have them reference or have them reference each other as well. So that's kind of the 15,000-foot view of this thing. I'll pause there. Does that answer your question, Mr. Chair? And is that a good enough summary for the board members?
Yeah, that does. All I ask is that you heavily involve the boots on the ground, your sheriffs, police, EMS, fire, and also emergency management. I don't believe we require air-to-ground channels to be put in radios, so that's another factor. If everybody's putting the interops in like they're supposed to when they join, that's done. If then we ask once again, users to program the radios with yet another channel, which is a cost to the PSAPs and the boots on the ground to do, I would ask that you carefully look at doing that. I would caution maybe not doing that. It's an option, maybe air to grounds, but not a requirement. I think a regionals or a tactical channel that they already have, and get lots of input from the users who use it to make it very simple to use. And then the communication that we make to the air ambulatory and aircraft, so they're crystal clear on what to use during incidents, because it happens a lot. That's one of the things we use a lot.
Yes, especially in some counties, thinking of some counties in northern Iowa where they do not have a county hospital. A lot of times they immediately go for the air ambulatory vehicles to try to get patients to a facility that can provide the cares necessary. So feedback is noted, Mr. Chair, and we'll proceed.
Thank you. The LTE deployable policy, is that still out for comment as well?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is out until comment until November 9th. Chair Updike, do you want to handle the update on that?
It's still in a holding pattern, and I guess when that time lapses, then we'll bring it to the board for adoption.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Putting it simplistically.
I like that. I like it. Okay, new business, new Isicsb with some new approvals today. We have 3 of them. I don't believe Chair Buffington's on, so who just wants to present with the, does Rob Dennett or Chris want to go through those?
Mr. Dennett, as the esteemed vice chair, you can certainly handle it if you like, if you're still on.
I'm here. Let me get those open. Do you have them in front of you? I don't have the applications.
I do, yes. So the applications today, Howard County EMA, they're applying for level 1 access. They are based in northern Iowa. Mower County, Minnesota is also applying for level 1 access. They do border another one of our Isicsb users in Worth County. They're applying for level 1 access, and this will kind of be an expansion of some of the interstate projects that we've done. They have a very well-established plan. And then LECOM, which is in Lee County, Iowa, they are applying for level 4 access as well. Motorola has done the system loading and analysis on all these applications and found it to be appropriate and acceptable. And the user group committee has brought these forward for approval. I cannot make a motion, but we could certainly open up the floor for motions to accept these new users to the Isicsb platform.
I'll do that. I can open up the floor to approve the 3 listed: Howard County level 1, Mower County, Minnesota level 1, and LECOM update to a level 4. If I'll take a motion for those 3.
Ness moves.
Huffman second.
Second, who was the second?
Huffman.
Huffman's the second. Is there any further discussion? Holly, let's take a roll call on those, please.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Wendy Hess.
Aye.
Mindy Benson.
Aye.
Michelle Bischoff.
Aye.
Curtis Woten.
Aye.
David Ness.
Aye.
Dan Fanks.
Aye.
Angela Klauser.
Aye.
Haley Nichols. Cindy Hike.
Aye.
Peter Huffman.
Aye.
Trace Kendig. Tom Lampy.
Aye.
Patrick Updike.
Aye.
Blake DeRushi.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay, the motion passes. Approval is given. New Isicsb standards approval, governance, Chair Huffman. Audible alert tones.
Okay, so I believe this standard has been through all of the necessary committees and through the public comment period. This is an interoperability standard regarding the alert tones that the system is capable of. The purpose being to establish a policy that will designate specific alert tones to types of transmissions on interoperability resources, such as the regional call talk groups. And it's well known that alert tones can be extremely useful, and they do what they do. They alert people to important information, but as with anything, if they're overused, people become deaf to them. So The idea is just to sort of put some limits on when they should and should not be used. So it specifies that times where there's immediate danger to life or health, or if there's active assailant pursuits, Amber Alerts and final radio call for line of duty deaths. Those are times where it would be acceptable to use an alert tone on an interoperable talk group. However, informational broadcast, distracted driver, routine driving complaints, and things of that nature would not be. That's really the gist of it. I don't know if I need to read the whole thing out or anything like that. I believe this is ready for a vote. Are there any comments about this before we move to vote on it?
Well, Peter, as the Amber Alert Coordinator for the state, I'd like to thank you for the Amber Alert piece. I think that's important. I was just talking to my staff the other day about a special tone that we're going to establish for an Amber Alert that will go on the statewide for obvious reasons. And that tone will be very recognizable as an Amber Alert tone, and you'll never forget it when you hear it for obvious reasons. So we'll, now that you have it in policy, we'll let you know what that tone will be, and we'll push that out to the PSAPs when we select the tone.
Great, thank you. All right. If there are no other comments, then I will move to vote on the audible alert tones policy, or standard.
Okay, we have a motion by Peter for audible alert tones policy. Do you have a second? Yes, is a second. Is there any further discussion? Holly, would you take a roll call on this also?
Wendy Hess,
Aye.
Mindy Benson,
Aye.
Michelle Bischoff,
Aye.
Curtis Wilton,
Aye.
David Ness,
Aye.
Dan Fank,
Aye.
Angela Klauser,
Aye.
Haley Nichols, Cindy Hike,
Aye.
Peter Huffman,
Aye.
Tom Lampy,
Aye.
Patrick Updike,
Aye.
Blake DeRushi,
Aye.
and motion passes.
Okay, the motion does pass. Thanks for the work, Chair Huffman. Okay, we're up to the public comment. This is the time where anybody that's on the call can address the board. And I'll leave the floor open at this time for any public comment.
Hey, Mr. Chair, this is Chris. I see that Eric Dow has unmuted his go-to meeting. I don't know if he has an issue with his phone still being muted or not, but it looks like he may be trying to leave a comment quick.
Certainly, we can wait.
In the meantime, do we need to have a board member vote for vice chair?
I think you can do that officially at the next board meeting. We'll put it on the agenda, and then Dave can handle that piece, if that's okay.
Yep, that works.
Are you in contact with him, Chris?
He had let me know that he was going to submit a comment earlier today. Eric, are you having issues with your line?
Is there anyone else in the meantime that would like to make a comment?
If Eric doesn't have a mic on his laptop or computer, he needs to dial in on that phone number.
This is Eric Daw. I think I'm in now.
Oh,
Okay.
yes, we can hear you, sir. Thank you.
Sorry about that. I apologize. Is everybody able to hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you. I apologize for the technical issues. I just wanted to take the time to, number one, thank Lieutenant Lampy and Swick Myers. As I'm sure the board is all aware, as a result of the derecho, we had some devastating radio issues. Lieutenant Lampy and Swick Myers have went way above and beyond, in my opinion, in the assistance that they've offered to us. It's been extremely valuable. They have, without them, I honestly don't know where we'd be right now. Currently, we're going through deployment for Clinton Police and Fire, and it's just, like I said, just been a huge resource. I also will freely admit I initially was not the biggest supporter of Isicsb. I've been part of the APCO board. As you know, there was a lot of resistance from the APCO board because of some funding. I'm also the first to admit when it's time to eat crow, and it's time to eat crow. You guys, like I said, have went way above and beyond, and I want to publicly admit I should never have been against some of the things that the Isicsb board was doing. And again, I can't thank you guys enough for all the help that you've given us. So Lieutenant Lampy, I hope that you enjoy your retirement, and thank you both so much for all the help.
You bet. Anytime. That's what we're here for. And thank you for acknowledging the board in that fashion. We do our best with what we have. And it was a pleasure to help you out. And I'll still be around a little if you need more.
Thank you.
Okay. Does anybody else want to comment? Okay, we'll wrap this up. Thanks again, everyone. It's been a great ride. So I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Huffman.
Bishop will second.
Bishop will second, and we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.